Hello, I'm the Godfather of Nerds. Welcome to another unstructured rant about Linux and open source. Today we'll talk about GPUs and the rather shit offerings we have from the big two, as well as some discussion about an upcoming GPU from a small, scrappy upstart company that you probably have heard of. Our current offerings are more or less limited to Nvidia and AMD. Nvidia, of course, is the market leader in GPUs and really have the best tech out there. But unfortunately, their driver is open source and most of their software in general is proprietary. Their attitude towards open source is reluctant at best and openly hostile at worst. And people report a pretty wide range of experience with running the proprietary driver, ranging from complete breakage every time there's an update to generally rock solid and good. I think NVIDIA's main benefit, other than their technology, is just that it's a really well packaged product, and that it works well for video encoding, and it works well for 3D rendering, and it works well for compute. And generally, it's the only real option for those things. AMD, on the other hand, has a quite excellent open source driver that is standard now on most distributions and offers out of the box functionality for most general computing purposes. Their driver is quite excellent. The rub, though, is that if you're going to use their cards for anything more advanced, if you're going to try to do video encoding, like live video encoding for streaming, or you're going to do 3D rendering with Blender, or you're trying to use them for AI or for heavy compute tasks, they're just really not comparable. They're just really not good. I've had very little luck getting hardware encoding with my AMD card, working for doing OBS capture and streaming and stuff like that. Having hardware video encoding has just never really worked for me. I just end up using the software encoder. Likewise with Blender, if you're going to use an AMD card with Blender, you've got to use their Pro Render engine, which, aside from being proprietary, also has rather limited Linux support. The only official distributions that are supported are like a handful of Ubuntu releases. If you're on any other distro, I guess you're not supported and just on your own. And then as far as I'm aware, you can't really do a lot of heavy compute with AMD cards, at least not on the same scale and level as CUDA, which is NVIDIA's offering. So really, there are some pretty serious trade-offs either way, depending on how you go, and it's kind of shit, really. There's not really a silver bullet GPU offering for Linux. And that's why I'm really eagerly looking forward to seeing how Intel's upcoming GPU, their Arc Alchemist GPU, which will be releasing here shortly after the new year. I'm definitely anticipating that and looking forward to seeing, how the performance is, but also just how good their software support is. Intel has been in the past a really great contributor to open source and has had wonderful open source drivers, Linux drivers for their hardware. And in fact, in the past, really, if I had any concerns about whether or not, a motherboard would be supported or, different cards, add-in cards would be supported in Linux, I would just default to the Intel option because I knew that they would work right out of the box. They've been really excellent stewards and contributors to open source, and I feel like they could be a really great option for a GPU if they can make all those parts work for us. If we can have an open source driver that just works, and we can have hardware encoding that just works, and 3D rendering, heavy compute, all of those things, if they can make all of those pieces work and be very painless and to just get out of the way, I think that Intel could really take a bite out of the Linux market. I think that they could unseat AMD pretty easily. And if their performance can come anywhere near Nvidia and be price competitive, I think they could take a bite out of Nvidia too. So I'm definitely anticipating the release of the Arc Alchemist GPU, and I guess we'll see what happens here after the new year and what happens after the release. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, keep on open sourcing. I got to think of a good closer. I don't want to encourage people to downvote like I did in my last video. Keep on open sourcering. Keep up with the open sorcery. Keep on open sourcing. Keep on Linuxing. Linuxery. Keep up with the Linuxery. That's all for me. What's GNU with you? Oh my god, this is cringe. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Goodbye, y'all. Be well.